and welcome to this latest episode of dollbellieknits. It has been a while and I'm glad to be back and sharing what I have been doing with you. But I did want to first thank those of you who have stuck around and have patiently waited for the next episode to come out. I really do appreciate all those who have subscribed and continue to tune in and watch what I have to say about knitting and crocheting and crafting in general, with the highlight of using what you have on hand, recycling, reusing, basically being frugal in making lovely works of art. If you are new to the show, this probably isn't going to be the best episode to get to know me. You might want to go back a couple episodes and see what I'm all about there. But if you have tuned in and you stick with me to the end and you like what you see by the time you get there, don't forget to click like and subscribe and tap the little bell so that you'll be notified every time I put a new video up. So, where have I been? What I've been doing? If you are a return viewer, then the last couple episodes you've seen I've done a Mean Mom segment. So I'm just going to jump into the Mean Mom segment because that kind of explains where I've been and why it's been so long. Several episodes ago I explained that my girls were having a difficult time at school, specifically with transportation and what was going on the bus and transportation. And I try not to give out too many details that are super personal, and besides, I'm not trying to bore anybody with my personal life. If you're here, it's probably because you want to see the knitting and the crocheting. But in explanation of to why I've been absent, basically we decided that we needed to pull our kids from that school and put them in a different school. So since then, my life has been revolving around making that happen. And it has been tough. Nobody really likes to embrace change. Certainly younger kids, teenagers, it can be difficult to embrace change, especially extreme change like this was and is for them. But we know in our hearts it was just the right thing to do. It had to be done. Our children are our most important. They're just the most important thing to us. So we needed to do what was right, even though it was the hard thing to do. So that's what I've been doing. I've been focusing all my time and energy on that, in getting them settled and getting them started in their new school and trying to help them adjust to some of the major changes that have come their way. That's basically it. And I think anybody can understand why I've had to drop off the radar and kind of put the vlog and even my knitting and crocheting a little bit on the back burner. That the kids are just number one. That's why I wanted to have a family. That's why I chose to have a family. That's why I'm a stay-at-home mom. They're my priority and they have to come first. So that's where I've been. That's why I've been silent, and hopefully things are going to tick forward in a positive fashion, and you'll be seeing a lot more of me and a lot more of my knitting and crocheting. So yay! With that said, let's jump right into the works in progress that I have going on. Probably no surprise that I still have the wedding blanket as a work in progress. It's here on the couch next to me. Let me see if I can show you. I'm not sure. It's on the couch, and as you can see, Frankie's totally ensconced in it, and I don't think I can pick it up to show you what's happening with that right now. But definitely way past the 50% point, probably approaching 60 or 70. So very happy, very excited about that. Been working on it for a while. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but I've been working on it a lot longer than I expected to. school's back in session. I was hoping to have it done by the time school was back in session. If you don't know, I'm sorry if you just tuned in. This wedding blanket is for my youngest daughter's teacher, and he got married over the summer. So I was planning on presenting it to him when school started up again. Additionally, my plan is to not burp in your face. My plan is to get all of the children who were part of the crochet group that I taught at the school to put stitches into the blanket, and that work is in progress as well. I'm contacting some of the moms and getting them to come over and put some stitches in, so that is still ticking along. Additionally, last episode you would have seen my mom sent a box of green yarn in the mail, because that's how my mama is. And that has been a really great help to keep me moving along in this blanket. So it's still a work in progress. I feel like it needs a different name. I feel like it needs I don't know, extended work in progress, EWIP, EWIP. I don't know. It has been a long time. It's a malingering work in progress. So hopefully it'll be done super soon, because honestly, I'm about sick of it. But I mean, I'm happy with it. I love this blanket. I love this pattern. It's a C2C blanket. My family has always just called it a triangle blanket. It's our go-to blanket when it's time for somebody to have a baby, when it's time for a wedding, because it's just so easy to do, and it's enjoyable. It's repetitive. I don't know if I have always known this about myself, but as I continue to knit and as I continue to crochet, through these years and different projects and different types of yarn and size needles, all that stuff, I am a process crocheter, knitter. I really do enjoy just knitting the object and crocheting the object. I like the process of making it. Since I'm a practical person, I also like it to be something that can be used, not just for pretty, although pretty can be practical as well. So anyway, wedding blanket still on the go, still a work in progress. Hopefully not for much longer. Second work in progress I have here in my lemon sorbet pot, which, yeah, this was nasty lemon sorbet. I don't know if I said that before, but this was yucky lemon sorbet. I did just want the pot. I have been working on, and I'm actually almost all done, a pair of flip-flop socks. So if you are a follower of Stacy from Very Pink Knits, she recently put out a pattern and a tutorial on a pair of flip-flop socks. I think it's called Sidewalk Talk flip-flop socks. So yeah, I saw that. I watch all of Stacy's videos and her tutorials, and I thought I would like to give it a go, but I knew that I wanted to do it with my usual sock yarn, which is the Premier brand wool-free sock yarn, and it is a sock yarn that has some elastic or some other type of, it's definitely viscose in nature. I don't have a ball band with me, so I can't tell you exactly what it's made out of, but obviously it's not wool. It has a lot more stretch and give. So I have seen people review it, and it wasn't their favorite sock yarn because of trying to knit in tension and stretchy yarn, etc. I love it. I have knit a pair of socks in every colorway that there is. So I have quite a bit of it left over, because it always seems that there's some left over from when I make a pair of socks. I use they're 50-gram balls. I should probably be checking this to make sure that I'm telling you the exact truth, but whatever, right? Okay, so there's some left over, so I have a lot of little balls that I can use that are hanging around. I also tend to use a 3.75 millimeter needle when I make socks. I use two circulars. These are 16-inch circulars, I think. I'm full of all kinds of information today, aren't I? But yeah, and if you are a sock knitter, you know that having a questionable weight of yarn or fabric that is stretchy and givey, and then having a 3.75 millimeter needle, you could end up with something pretty interesting when it comes to knitting a sock. But I've learned how to do it, I've adapted it, and it works for me. So I knew that that's what I wanted to do, and I knew that her pattern probably did not, well, you know what, I don't know 100%. I assumed, and I do know how to spell that word, I assumed that the needle size would be 2.25 or 2.5 and that it would be sock weight yarn. So I just went ahead and I watched the tutorial, how she does the toes, and I kind of just figured out the number of stitches that I would need based on my foot. And I did my usual vanilla pattern with wrap and turn heel, and then just a 1x1 cuff until I was completely done with what wool, not wool, because it's not wool, it's wool free, what yarn I had left. And I did break my rule of only making one sock at a time, because I do suffer terribly from second sock syndrome. But the way the toes are constructed, it would have been very difficult to do that. I still would have had to start the toe portion and then do another toe portion separately. So I just went ahead and did the one sock because it was an experiment for me. I didn't know if it was going to work out, but it did. I'm really happy with this. And since I was breaking my rule, I definitely bit the bullet and started sock number 2 right away so that it wouldn't end up being 5 years between socks like has happened to me before. So I'm on sock number 2. This is the colorway. Again, I'm full of guesses. I'm pretty sure this is Grand Canyon, because they do have one called Pueblo, but that's like more tans and beiges, like rocks, like pebbles, Pueblo. But I'm pretty sure this is Grand Canyon. So I really like the blue here in the middle, and then up on the cuff here too. Can't tell. I got sun coming in from the sunroom, kind of, because it's raining, which you probably could hear that. Anyway, it's been so long since I podcasted that I'm just doing it, to do it. It's like riding a bike. You don't really ever forget how, but the first time you get back on the bike, you're kind of rusty. So here's that. That's work number 2, work in progress number 2. Love my little my progress keeper. Although in this case, this isn't a progress keeper as much as it's a way for me to know that this is the top part of the sock, and then that way I'll put the heel on the back side or the correct side, because with the toes being separated, you can't have 2 lefts. You definitely have to have a left and right sock. So yay! I'm excited to be finished them. I don't have a lot of socks that I made for myself. I think this actually will be maybe the 4th pair of socks that I've made for myself, which is quite small in comparison to the amount of socks that I've made over the years. So it's nice every once in a while to do something for yourself. Okay, let's see. Oh, yes. Sorry for the reach. Third work in progress that I got going on is, surprise, surprise, another pair of socks. Obviously, I'm a sock knitter. I like to knit socks. I always like to have a pair of socks on the needles because they are just the most easy thing to transport and take with you. And I tend to use self-striping yarn a lot, so the best thing for self-striping yarn most of the time is a vanilla or just a plain stockinette sock. So again, that makes it a very portable, very easy project to take with you. There's no pattern, you're just knitting in the round until you get to the heel or till you get to the cuff or, whatever the next juncture is in the anatomy of the sock. So this is a pair of socks, and they are for my brother-in-law, Tom. My sister requested a pair of socks for him. So I've really thought about this. Tom has some foot troubles, so I want to make sure that he's getting a good pair of socks that are going to enhance his sock wearing experience, that it's not going to cause him problems. So what I've done is I actually have gone down a needle size. This is not 3.75. I want to say it is, sorry about the noise. I want to say it's 3.25. And I don't know if I ever showed this. When I went to the Shetland Islands and I went to the Jameson store, I picked up one of these. I couldn't help it. It's just, I'm a sucker for wooden objects, I think. And then this was really cool. Because I only have one other needle checker. What's the word for this? I have another one, a Susan Bates one of those metal Susan Bates ones, and it's kind of bent up, and so this is going to be a little bit more sturdy, and it was like my little souvenir. So, okay, let me see. 3.25? Yes. Okay, so these are 3.25s. So that's, 2 needle sizes down than what I'm used to. Additionally, this is wool. The gray for the toes is it is also Premier brand, but it is Serenity sock yarn. That's what that is. So that's what I'm going to do for the toes and the heel and the cuff. And then this self-striping yarn in the middle is a Hobby Lobby brand. Haha. I do have it here. It is called, it's called Walk Away Sock Yarn. I don't think they make it anymore. I'm not 100% certain. I did get it, had to be a while ago, because I haven't been to a Hobby Lobby in a long time. And I had it in my stash, and I was just waiting for just the right project, and this is it. So this is, the colorway is called Take a Hike. So it's got blues and yellows and a red. It's self-striping, but it changes quite quickly. So you can see, like, it doesn't exactly pool, but it's getting there in color. I'm pretty sure this is 100% wool. There might be some acrylic in it. Yeah, yes, it's 75% superwash wool, 25% polyamide, which I think is, what would you, it would be nylon? I'd have to look that up. I should have come prepared, but like I said, I just wanted to get on the bike and start pedaling and see what happens. Anyway, so as you can see, I'm doing them 2 at a time, again, on another pair of 2 sets of circulars. That way I get to do them 2 at a time and not 1 at a time. I've just done my normal toe, which is wraps and turns, and then I do the same exact thing for the heel. So yeah, that's what I'm working on for that too, and hopefully he will like them, and hopefully they will be good for his feet. You always want to give somebody a gift that they're going to like, that they're going to use, but in this case, when somebody has feet problems, you definitely want to make sure that you're doing the right thing for them and the right thing by them. So hopefully that's the case. And yep, that's about all I have to say about that. Okay, so that's all my works in progress that I will talk about right here, because those of you who are return viewers know that I do a section on Christmas knitting. And I've been doing that section on Christmas knitting probably since June when I did start my Christmas knitting. So I do have one more thing to share, but I'll get to that at a later section in the show. What I would like to talk about, it's been a while, so I think I shared this last episode, I'm not sure, but I did finish the Bird of Fire shawl, and have used it and worn it, and I'm super, super happy with it. Bird of Fire is a pattern by Sarah Wilcox, and it was part of a knit along that I took part in, and the two types of yarn that I used, one was a speckled or a variegated yarn, and then the other was a solid that I hand dyed using Wilton's food coloring natural dyes. So I specifically dyed that to match the variegated yarn that I had purchased from, I purchased it last year. It's been a whole year now since Yarndale and Skipton. Yarndale is next weekend, so it's been a year since I purchased it, and Easy Knits. It's an Easy Knits sock yarn, and it is called, the variegated yarn is called Siren Song. So it definitely screams mermaid. Obviously, I don't have it on me. It is upstairs. So I will insert pictures here, and you've probably seen it 100 times at this point in time. The reason I wanted to talk about it again was because I did wear it, and I am very happy with it. I wore it without blocking it. I don't have blocking mats or blocking pins, and yeah, I don't think I've ever actually blocked anything in my life, to be honest. If I blocked it, it would probably make it even nicer to wear because there would be more of it. However, I was still very happy because I wore it with my shawl pin, and it just it was like a little capelet, just went over the shoulders to about here. And because it is wool, it was warm. But since it's like a fingering weight, it was light. So I didn't feel like I was smothering in it, but when I put it on, it gave me like just the amount that I needed. We did a little impromptu photo shoot before we went off on our quick little holiday up to Scotland. And my daughter took all the photos, and she is just so awesome with the photography. She will do whatever it takes to get a photo. So I appreciate her help and her skills. And she did a little quick photo shoot for me, and I was really pleased, really happy with how it came out. And I was pleased with how it wore. That's not right grammar. That's not correct grammar. I was happy with how it felt while I was wearing it. The drape of the fabric. The one thing that happened though, I still don't understand how this happened. So we went to Scotland, we went to Oban, stayed around the water, which was lovely. I'll talk about that later in the show. But we were out actually in the city, and I had the shawl on. It was pinned into place, and my oldest daughter says, "Mom, why is there a hole in your shawl?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I know there were some places where I switched needles, and you had to, really pull the stitches together, and I didn't do a great job in some of the locations. Actually, I don't think I was actually following the directions correctly in the beginning, so there are some holes in the knitting. So I thought she was talking about that, but she's like, "No, Mom, there's a hole." So I took it off and I looked at it, and there was a hole from. It was like a slipped stitch. Like I just didn't knit that stitch. And like if I didn't take care of it, it would have made a big run down the shawl. And for the life of me, I have no idea how this happened. I could not see anywhere that like the portion of the wool broke. I couldn't see any breakage anywhere. It was literally like I just didn't knit that stitch, but it was at the very beginning of the shawl. So for me to go on and to continue to knit the rest of the shawl, and for that stitch to never drop and make a ladder, and then I had been wearing it for maybe like a day or two at that point in time. So I have no idea what that was about, and I was so like beside myself. Luckily, because I hadn't blocked it, I didn't run all the ends in either. So I was able to take it off, and there was actually an end close by, and I was able to tie it down. It was like, doing surgery. I was clamping it off. I was tying off the bleeder to make sure that it didn't do any worse damage. And then when we got back to the house that we were staying in, I was able to, tend to it a little bit more. And then I ran all my ends in and did all that other business. But yeah, that was like a horror show in the making of being out, in public, in a city, wearing this. And like, I don't think I had any knitting on me. No, I probably had knitting on me, but I didn't have my, my other little ice cream tub, the little tiny one, Carte Dior, that has my scissors and my yarn needle in it. So I was like, what am I gonna do? I was like hyper focusing on that for a good 10 minutes until I was able to sit down and take the shawl off and really deal with that. So yeah, weird. Don't know what happened there. Don't understand. Don't get it. Right. It has been it's been like 5 weeks since the last time I did an episode, and a lot of things have happened. Like I said, been kind of wrapped around the axle in dealing with the kids, and I have done knitting in the meantime as well, because I still have to make progress on Christmas items. But we've also gone a couple places, and I do like to include those segments, because usually when I go places, I try to incorporate my knitting, or I try to take inspiration from my surroundings and work that into the knitting. So I think what I'm going to do is that this episode is going to be a 2-part episode. I think I'm going to break it off for now. And then in the next part, I will talk about Christmas knitting, and I will go over some of the magical memories that have happened since you last saw me. So thanks again for coming back, if you are a return viewer, for sticking it out, and for, basically being interested in what I'm doing and where I've been and what's been going on. And again, if you're a new viewer, I hope that you've seen something you like so far. You may want to go back out and check out, go back and check a couple episodes back, and that will probably give you a little bit of a view into what it's normally like on the show. But yeah, click like, click subscribe, leave me a comment in the box below. Say, hey, how you doing? Yeah, and then we'll pick up where we left off in the next episode, hopefully next week. So see you next time. Bye. Episode of Doll Belly Knits, the vlog about knitting, crocheting, crafting, using what you have on hand. It's the vlog about knitting, crocheting, and being that's not the vlog it's about. What am I about? Hey everyone, welcome to this latest episode of Doll Belly Knits, the vlog about knitting and crocheting and other crafts where you use what you have and you recycle and golly, so hot.